Okay, hi everyone. My name is Attorney Alex Gillette. I am supervising attorney with Egan Immigration. I am holding my first live here on TikTok and YouTube and Facebook and all of that. I'm here to answer questions people may have about immigration, kind of the state of things. What to expect on cases. I can only speak generally on cases, but I am here to answer questions. And if you have a specific question about a specific case like your own or someone you may know, I will probably direct you to call our office so that we can give you a full evaluation and be able to answer your questions in more detail and more helpfully than I can in a general setting like this. So I am going to just wait to see questions that come in. Let's see. So I'm seeing some questions about how long a T visa application can take. This length of time has been changing quite a bit over the last year or two. Maybe 2 years ago, we saw approvals that came in just a few months. It was really, really fast. Now, cases are more typically taking closer to a year or 2 years. And actually, because I'm in front of my computer, I am going to just look up what the current wait times for T visa applications are, because it really does change day to day, hour to hour sometimes. So let me just look this up right now. This information is available on USCIS's website if you did want to look this up on your own to get an idea of how long cases do take. And again, these are general estimates. They will not be specific to any case. Here we go. Okay, the website was acting up. Let me look this up. So an application for a T visa, the current estimated processing time is about 22 months, so just under 2 years. That is a big change from even a year ago, where it was really closer to a year, maybe even less than that. So these processing times are estimates. It's the government's best estimate, best guess as to when a case will be decided. Things that might impact how long cases take are, generally speaking, it's USCIS's capacity. So sometimes they get very overwhelmed with different applications. So if there's been an increase in the number of T visa applications, for example, that will increase the length of time it takes to get a decision on a T visa application. Other things that might impact how long things take are individually on cases. Sometimes a person may have not sent enough information, or there might be evidence that's missing, or USCIS is confused, has questions about a certain part of the applicant's background. They may issue what's called an RFE, or a request for evidence, and that will kind of pause the processing time on a person's case, and the person then has to respond to the RFE with the requested evidence, or maybe we have to make legal arguments about why what's being questioned should not impact the person's case. Responding to those RFEs, if you get an RFE, that can cause your cases to take longer. Sometimes USCIS will say that they need to do further, usually they call it like security checks. They'll need to do further checks on that. And that's really out of out of the applicant and the attorney's power to control and to speed up. We can always request and try to urge the USCIS, the agency, to hurry up. There are different things we can try. However, if the processing time, so we've only been waiting less than the estimated processing time listed on the website, they're not going to move any faster for us. However, if it is taking longer than the estimated time issued on the website, then we can make inquiries. If we're not getting any response on the inquiries, then there's different tools an attorney can help with to speed up the case and potentially get a decision and force a decision. So I kind of talked a lot about processing times in general, but to go back to the original question about how long T visa cases are taking, the USCIS website does currently say it's taking about 22 months in about 80% of cases that are filed. So if you filed a T visa or you're thinking about filing one, just know that it can take around 22 months. Maybe it'll take less time, maybe it'll take more time, but that's kind of the best estimate right now from the government about how long T visa applications are taking. And I see another follow-up question about T visa applications. There was a new program announced. That was last fall. Actually, no, I'm sorry, it wasn't last fall, it was last summer, that T visa applicants can receive a work permit while waiting for their T visa application to be decided, because these cases are taking longer and longer to be decided. So that in the legal terms is called a bona fide determination work permit. So this is a relatively new program for T visas. It is very similar to a program that's been available for U visas for a couple of years now. And it's because it's new, it is difficult to estimate how long it takes to get that work permit and if you can get a work permit that way. We try on all of our cases here at Egan to get that bona fide work permit for everyone who applies for a T visa. So we're always asking for it. But what we've seen recently is that my TikTok video fell down. Sorry, you guys on TikTok. Where was I? So yeah, what is hard for us to know is when the work permits will be issued, and then sometimes too, if the work permit will be granted for everyone who applies for a T visa. The qualifications for the bona fide EADs, or the bona fide work permits for T visas, is that, like, on its face, on a quick review, an immigration officer sees, okay, yes, this person is eligible for a T visa. However, we are seeing some denials for these T visa work permits, even though the person is eligible for a T visa. So we're not really sure why we're seeing more of those denials. However, when we get a denial, we do look into it. We try to challenge the decision when we can. But unfortunately, it can be difficult to win if USCIS does deny the bona fide EAD, but that doesn't mean we'll stop there at Egan. So to go back to the original question about the T visa EAD, if you do get the bona fide work permit, in theory, that should come, I would estimate around 6 months or so to get that. That's a pretty standard time for a lot of work permits, although we do see work permits taking longer to get in different cases. So this number, that time length, can fluctuate. Just want to make sure everyone's expectations are set on that. But I would estimate, like, starting around 6 months, you could expect to get a response on that. And then if you do not get that bona fide work permit, which if you are denied the bona fide work permit, it does not mean you'll be denied your T visa. It's just like that initial work permit that can be available. You would have been denied on. If you don't get that and you're waiting for your T visa without the work permit, then you would expect to get a work permit as soon as your T visa is approved. So once you get the approval notice for your T visa, you can expect that EAD, the work permit document, to come in very quickly after that. Okay, so hopefully I answered some questions about the T visa work permits. I am gonna kind of look through different questions. Okay, so I see a question about applying for VAWA. A VAWA with a residency card, or sorry, not residency card, with residence. So, and about getting a travel permit in connection to the application. So yes, when you apply for VAWA, many times you have the option, and this is what we always try to do at Egan, is we try to file the application for VAWA and the application for the green card or the residency at the same time. And that allows applicants to get a work permit while waiting for a decision on both their VAWA and the green card application. Also part of that is you can get a travel permit. So that a lot of times in the past, we have seen the travel permit or advanced parole, that's what the legal term is. You can get that travel permit like connected to your work permit. So like on your work permit card, it actually says, oh gosh, I forget the exact term, but it says something like for travel purposes, or maybe it even says advanced parole on it. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting the exact words that show up on the card, but it does show up on the front of the card that you have the advanced parole permission to, so that would allow you to leave the US, take a trip outside, and hopefully ideally be allowed re-entry without any questioning or any of that, because it's just on your card. If you don't get that card with, it's like a combo card where you have both the work authorization and the travel permission, you should be getting a separate document. If approved for advanced parole, you should get a separate like paper document that says you've been granted advanced parole. And the actual document you should be carrying when you travel, I want to be correct on the exact form. So I'm just double checking to make sure I give you the right form number, because it is very important that you carry this one. Yes, it's the I-512 form. Sorry, it is not a form you fill out. It is like an approval notice for the advanced parole, but it's like an advanced parole notice. And you want to make sure you're carrying the form I-512. Again, you're not filling anything out on this. It's just what the notice is called. And it usually has like your picture on there and like the dates that the travel permit is granted for. So I don't know why some people get the combo card, some people get the work permit and a separate paper document showing that you have the travel permit. I'm not exactly sure why they don't do it all the time. Sometimes maybe it's like timing on when one is approved and the other is. I don't know why exactly, but I don't think it's anything to be concerned about. I know it's maybe annoying to have to carry two separate documents when you're traveling and you have to keep track of those. But it's I don't know why exactly they issue in some cases a combo card and in other cases like just a travel permit and a separate advanced parole notice. So I'm sorry, I can't help you too much on that part, but just know it doesn't reflect anything about your case, your eligibility or anything. You still have the same form of advanced parole as someone who has the combo card. Okay, so Yeah, hopefully that answered all of your questions there. Let me see. Okay, so I see a question about if you are engaged, you have a fiance, can you file for your fiance as a derivative on a U visa application? So you do need to be married when you apply for a U visa, and you want your partner to be to benefit from your application. So this marriage, as the rules currently are, and I don't expect them to change, as they currently are, you can file your U visa without being married. And then as long as you marry your partner, your fiance, before your U visa is approved, you can add them as a derivative at any time. So, but it's important that you get married before the U visa is approved. So, if you know you want to get married, I would suggest you get married sooner rather than later if you do want them added to your U visa, because you never know. Maybe you'll get an approval very quickly, although U visas generally take a very long time. So you should have time. But I think to make things, if you wanted like a perfect application with everything all together upfront that you file, all in one package, I would suggest getting married before you file the U visa. But sometimes there's you run into deadlines with U visas. So sometimes you can't get married before you file. That's okay. As long as you get married pretty soon after you file the U visa, you can add your spouse at that point as a derivative, and they can like send their application as a derivative to a U visa after you, the principal, file your application. So you do need to be married to answer your question. You can't simply be engaged. You have to be legally married. Okay, let me look at other questions. So I see a question about having green card interviews over the phone. In the US, applicants generally need to go to the interview in person. I have not heard of an option for applicants to appear by phone, except maybe in very extreme circumstances, like you have a medical issue preventing you from appearing at a USCIS field office. I have been to interviews where the USCIS officer will come to the person's home, or maybe they're in a hospital or another like special living situation where they cannot travel. I have been to those interviews before where an officer will come out in person. So that might be an option if you are, if you're having trouble traveling for an interview, you can request that. But generally, USCIS interviews are all done in person, not by phone. Sometimes the attorney or the interpreter can appear by phone, but that really depends on the office that the interview is being held at. Some offices are okay with, an attorney or an interpreter appearing by phone. Some are not. Some have policies that they won't allow an interpreter or an attorney to appear by phone. So you should consult with an attorney with Egan Immigration. We are very familiar with a number of offices across the country. We know what certain offices prefer for that. And we could also, if you do have like a medical need or something that prevents you from traveling, we can also investigate that and request that for you for any green card interviews or other kinds of interviews you might have with USCIS. But yeah, and I think another part of this question was, if you're in Mexico, can you appear for the interview over the phone? So I'm guessing that's the request is if you have an interview with USCIS inside the US. No, they do want you in person, but maybe the question is about interviews at a consulate or a US embassy in Mexico or another country. those, to my knowledge, almost always require you to be in person. They want to see, you there at the interview. There might be exceptions, again, for maybe some like medical needs or, like there was the COVID pandemic. If there's like a pandemic or some, emergency situation going on, there might be exceptions to that. But usually they want to see applicants in person. Part of the interviews is kind of doing a sort of like, they don't do a background check there, but they oftentimes will take fingerprints, your picture at the interviews, just to confirm and make sure you are who you say you are and your information is aligning with other parts of your application and your background check and all of that. So yeah, generally with consular interviews and interviews with USCIS, you do need to attend in person. And if you are expecting an interview with USCIS, so inside of the United States, you want to make sure that you are traveling. If you are traveling actually, let me take a step back. If you are applying for your green card, you want to make sure you're only traveling according to the advanced parole that you have connected to your green card application. If you travel outside of this without the permission from USCIS, then you could run into problems with your green card application. A lot of times, if USCIS finds that you're traveling without that advanced parole, or possibly with another visa, if you have another visa or another status in the US that allows you to travel outside of the country, you're okay. But you want to make sure that you are traveling with that advanced parole or other visa, so that USCIS does not find that your green card application is abandoned. So if you do travel without permission and USCIS finds out about it, they will consider your application abandoned and deny you. And that does not prevent you from applying for your green card again in the future, but just a warning, you want to be careful about traveling when you have a pending green card application. You really want to make sure you're following the terms of your advanced parole or other visa if you have it. And you want to always make sure you can return in time for your green card interview so you don't miss it. Okay, so hopefully that answers your question about not traveling, about your interview and if you can appear by phone, which you really can't. Let me see, looking for other questions. Okay, I do see a comment about someone having an interview coming up and being nervous. It's very normal to feel nervous, to feel a little scared about these interviews. But if you're working with Egan or another attorney, especially at Egan, we prepare our clients very well for their interviews. So we do a full analysis of your case. Like we re-review your application, your whole case before you go to an interview. We practice the questions you'll be asked during the interview. If there are any parts of your case that we expect might become like a focus of the officer during the interview, like they want to ask a lot more follow-up questions, we'll practice those with you. We'll identify those potential areas and we'll practice. And what seems to be happening is we prepare a lot and the officer doesn't actually ask any questions about a number of the things. So we really try to over prepare you for those interviews so you feel secure and as prepared as you can be for those interviews. We don't want you to feel surprised during those interviews. So we do our best to over prepare you. And we're always mindful. And when you work with Egan, an attorney is always attending the interview with you. We will, as the attorneys, we don't do a lot during the interview. It's kind of like you, the applicant, are the only ones that the officer really wants to talk to. So we're just kind of sitting often sitting behind the applicant because that's where USCIS likes us. They want us, sorry, my camera keeps slipping down on TikTok. So USCIS wants us to, we'll just kind of be not saying too much during the interview, but if we do see that USCIS is asking inappropriate questions or questions that aren't related to your application, or just asking things that are not appropriate, we will step in. We will make arguments if we see that they're trying to find an issue on your case. We will make arguments in the interview. We will ask the officer to basically issue a document called an RFE for us to respond to their questions in writing if needed. Sometimes that is better than putting you, the applicant, on the spot in an interview. So we try to do that when it's appropriate, when it makes sense. So we at Egan, we do go to all interviews and we step in when things get tense or the officers are asking questions that they shouldn't be. We are there for you to advocate for you in your interviews. Although many times, we are not talking that much during interviews. We're just kind of there to make sure USCIS is doing what they're supposed to be doing and not overstepping. I think, again, it's very normal to be nervous for those interviews in normal times. Obviously, right now we have a president and an administration that is very anti-immigrant, and so there is a lot of fear with our clients, with the whole immigrant community in the U.S. that if you go to an interview, bad things could happen. You could be arrested, detained. We have not been seeing that with our clients who attend interviews. If we have any reason to think that there could be immigration enforcement at the interview, we will talk about that with our clients before the interview comes. So we will make sure to talk about all the risks and potential concerns before the interview and really confirm that you want to move forward, because this is your case. You're in charge of your case at Egan. And if you need to make decisions that maybe are different than what we originally planned, that is your decision. We are there to prepare you for the different scenarios that can come up, and so that you feel prepared. And we at Egan, the attorneys are always there during those interviews to advocate for you and to avoid any negative outcome that we can at the interviews. So there is that fear about ICE showing up at interviews, but we have not seen that with our clients at the different offices we've gone to interviews for across the country. We have heard about them showing up at certain offices, and it's usually applicants that have a specific background that would cause immigration, ICE, to show up at the interviews. It does not happen a lot. It is something we here at Egan are monitoring, and a lot of attorney organizations are watching for. So we are watching out for that. And we prepare our clients before their interviews. So always know when you work with Egan, you will know the situation before you would ever have to attend an interview in person. Because I know it is scary. There's a lot of information, a lot of news stories about people being detained, but generally the USCIS interviews, we're not seeing that many detentions right now, and usually it's people with certain backgrounds that would cause immigration enforcement to appear at them. So without going into specifics, we will warn you if you have a background that could increase the risk of any apprehension or anything. You will be prepared before you go to an interview. Okay, so I hope that, I know it's not necessarily the most calming response, but I want to be straight with people who are, going to interviews, and I want you to feel prepared and secure in your case, and knowing, especially if you're a client with Egan, that we are there for you. We will advocate for you. We don't take no as an answer. We will fight and appeal cases if there is any negative outcome. We are your advocates. Okay. Let's see. Okay, I see a question about, okay, if I get my VAWA approved, is it possible to get a green card without any interview? That does still happen occasionally. Since Trump has become president, we have seen more interviews being scheduled. So while Biden was president, there was a policy that really encouraged USCIS officers to waive interviews for applicants in certain situations. And what that means is they would just approve the green card application without an interview because the applicant's background and eligibility was very clear, and they really didn't need to confirm anything in person at an interview with you. So that does not happen a lot now, because there is just an increase in scrutiny on applications with USCIS. However, they do still happen. So, there is a chance that you could be approved for VAWA and not have an interview scheduled, and then you could get your green card still without an interview. So that does happen occasionally. It's just not happening quite as much. So, most people, most of our clients, were telling them that prepare for an interview, and if it is waived or you don't have an interview, that's amazing. If not, then you're prepared, you're ready to go to that interview for your green card. Okay. Let's see. Seeing a question about USCIS post office. Oh, the USPS. So the USCIS mails notices and documents by USPS, the like National Postal Service in the US, and occasionally documents cannot be delivered there's different reasons why they can't be delivered. So it can be difficult to find that notice, to get it. You might be able to contact USPS. Their website, I do believe, has a tool that you can use to try to like hold the document, or say that you can pick it up in person at a post office. So I would try that first. If like USCIS sometimes lists like a tracking number, or if you call customer service, you can get like a tracking information or some information about what was mailed. And then you can use that to contact USPS to try to hold the document or try to pick it up in person. So there's not like a great guaranteed way to stop USPS from returning the document to USCIS, but there are different things you can try. I would try to go to your post office, or where the post office where the document is being held at. And usually you'll get like, I don't know if you have access to the address they tried to deliver it, but sometimes they'll leave a notice about where the document's being held. You could go to that place. So it usually involves going to the post office if you can stop it. Otherwise, if it does get returned to USCIS, then unfortunately you may have to start over, depending on what the document was. So I would suggest trying to contact the post office first and seeing what information you can get from USCIS about like the tracking number and information. Okay. Let's see. So I'm seeing a lot of questions coming in. Okay, so I see a question about, is advanced parole still safe to travel internationally? So is it safe to travel with advanced parole? It's hard to answer this because there is an increase in scrutiny with people traveling right now internationally. If you have advanced parole, so the travel permit, you do have the authorization to travel, and you should be able to re-enter, without issue back into the U.S. However, it's not a guarantee that you can re-enter. So we are cautioning people traveling on advanced parole in certain situations. I would suggest calling, if you're a client with EGAN, call us to review your case in more detail, to give you a more specific answer about traveling internationally. In general, you should speak with your attorney, with us. You can call us and we can advise on how safe it is to travel. We do know of people traveling on advanced parole right now without problems, but I would just brace for more questioning when you return to the U.S. So more questioning by customs about your trip, maybe about your status here in the U.S., how you have advanced parole and all of that. So I think short answer is there's a lot more attention paid to people returning to the U.S. with advanced parole, even with green cards, even if you're a U.S. citizen. Like, customs is just scrutinizing a lot more at the border. That's what we're hearing. It does not mean you can't return to the U.S. under advanced parole or whatever status you have. I would just prepare for that. And if you are worried, I do suggest you call us so we can evaluate your specific situation, the risks that would be like specific for you, if there are any, and all of that. So I do generally caution about traveling internationally to be prepared for that extra scrutiny. And if there's anything in your background, like maybe serious crimes, like a criminal history, any immigration violations in your past, like a removal order, or other violations that, if you've worked with EGAN, like, we would talk about the different violations that could affect your case. We would discuss those with you in detail so that you can evaluate and make the right decision for yourself and your family about traveling. Okay. Oh, yeah. Questions. Okay, sorry, I'm looking at different questions, and I will need to sign off in just a few minutes. So I'll do like one more question. Okay. Okay, so I see a question about, can I reopen a final deportation order with just a T visa pending? So T visas, you may be able to request the court to dismiss your deportation order or your deportation proceedings if you have a T visa pending. In my experience with T visas and U visas, and I've been working on these since 2015. So I went through the previous Trump administration, and I was also working under Obama and Biden's administration. And the policies have changed a little bit depending on who's the president and the types of policies the president is implementing. So, under Biden, we may have been able to dismiss removal proceedings or removal order while a T visa was pending. Now, and this was under the first Trump administration, generally immigration would require a T visa to be approved. And then also you would need to be applying for a green card. There might be exceptions depending on your case, depending on the ICE attorney that we would be working with in the immigration court. Sometimes they'll agree to dismiss the proceedings, even though maybe your T visa is still pending, or even though you're not ready to apply for your residency yet. They could work with you, the applicant, and your attorney. However, in my experience, they usually wait until you've at least applied for your green card before ICE will agree to dismiss the proceedings. But that's not to say you can't. You could certainly try while your T visa is pending, after your T visa is approved. And then just to remind everyone, when you're approved for a T visa, many times you need to wait like 3 or 4 years before you can apply for a green card. Sometimes you can get early adjustment where you can apply very quickly after you are approved for your T visa. So it really depends. It depends on your specific case on when you can dismiss. It might be possible to dismiss while your T visa is pending. But in my experience, you're more likely to get the removal proceedings dismissed after the T visa is approved. And often it's usually when the green card application is pending. So yeah, and it depends on the ICE attorneys we're working with, and maybe your specific background. So to get more specific answers on that, you can always call our office to get more information, to get a more specific answer. And yeah. Okay. All right. So that was my last question for the day. It was so great to do this live, to interact with you all. I will be doing more of these lives to answer questions. I speak English. I do speak some Spanish, but we're trying out English lives to see, how things go. Maybe I will speak Español in el futuro. But for now, I'm just doing my lives in English. So I really appreciate you all. And please call our office. If you are not a current client of ours, you can call us to get a free evaluation done and see if you are eligible for any certain cases and get answers to your questions. Our phone number it's on this on the screen here, but it's 202-709-6439. Please give us a call, and we can answer your questions, see what you're eligible for. And yeah, thank you all for your time today. Talk to you later.